Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070 30437110 right now. Aneke TV.
Aneke television. Heu agiribolu bi egwu nkwazi na ya mgbochi okwukwu kakwa ogwugwu ma. Heu mgbe ụwa bịa na ihe ebube eme. Mgbagbu ụwa gbatawa na ihe ebube emewa. Aneke television na-emere ogbenye emere amadi ihe. Ị na-agba nkwụ, ị na-eme nkepụta nwa, ị na-akwa ozu, ị na-agba akwụkwọ. Bịawa na Aneke television, bịa ka ezuoru gị ozi ọma. Bịawa na Aneke television idume. Heu na-emere ogbenye emere amadi ihe. Ụmụ Igbo bịawo na nke a bụ nke anyị. Ị mara ebe oge ọrụ etiwo mọnwụ ntakịrị tụkwa mọnwụ si nne. Ya mere ha ji wee weta Aneke television. Ọ bụ onye gbagburu agụ nna. Ọ dị na soshal midia. Ọ dị na mgbagbu. Ọ dị n'Enugu site. Ọ dị na Naịjirịa.
The weekend, we had an eventful weekend in the world of sports, moving from the fixtures and the results and all down to what we are seeing on the Premier League table, how Manchester United and Arsenal, which will make the top of our news this morning, which will make the top of our news because I'm telling you that it was not what everyone saw coming, and it was not what we actually wanted to see. But I'm telling you right now that that was the star match of the week, full of drama, full of emotions, and full of goals. Of course, it was just 5 goals, we could say, but it was full of many things more than we could ever imagine. Now, moving on in the world of sports, I want to start from where it is to where it is happening right now that Victor Osimhen has scored his 50th goal for Galatasaray, and it is something that no one have seen this coming because Victor Osimhen just went from Napoli to Galatasaray on loan deal. You know the drama that he had when he was playing for Napoli. He was almost playing his best game, and right now he has scored up to 50 goals, and he became just the first to score. I mean, I'm talking about not the first to score that kind of goal, but I'm talking about in time frame. He is the first to score that kind of goal, and you know his 50th goal was that dramatic goal that you all would have wanted to see. You would want to see, of course, that his 50th goal made a great mark, and he actually would not have done this without the support of the fans and everyone. I am seeing on the internet and on X that Victor Osimhen is adored all over the Turkish league, and even he is known more than the celebrities who are in Turkey. And I'm telling you that Victor Osimhen is one of the sensations we've had as a striker number 9 in the Nigeria football. Of course, in our national team, he has also delivered his mark, almost getting towards the Rashidi Yekini tallies in the war in goals. But he said, like I told you the other day, that he is not so interested in tallying with anybody. Rather, he is trying to, help his country and make a good mark. Victor Osimhen has actually delivered a wonderful and an awesome game, scoring goals. He is a goal mistro, and I'm telling you that his white hairs does not mean that he's old. Rather, it means that he is starting his days, and that he could return to the days that he would deliver and score more goals. I could say congratulations to Victor Osimhen. We expect the best from you, and we all from this side of the world, we are rooting for you, our own and our very very own. Now moving on in sports, we have that Senegal has there are rumors that Senegal will be sanctioned and they will also not be able to participate in the World Cup because of their walkout from the pitch. You know that Senegal they had issues. Their final game against Morocco was a lot of drama. Like I've been telling you, that football is not just a game; it's a game of emotions. It's a game of psychology, tactics, and the things that are you have to play well. You have to uh, factorize your game, and you have to put your guys along so that you can make a good mark. But it is said that Senegal would face, or there are rumors that they could face a sanction. Maybe they will not go to World Cup. Maybe they will not be able to participate in the upcoming AFCON games, which will be a problem for them. And you know that one thing about CAF and FIFA is that they always would have a scapegoat, someone they will use as an example of sanction. And we are not expecting Senegal, after they have lifted the trophy, to face such sanction. Rather, we are expecting the Council of FIFA and CAF to come together and agree on what it could be, because actually they defaulted the CAF rules and FIFA rules by trying to walk off and walking off from the pitch, which was a big problem. But we could say that these guys were looking up to, they were emotional. They were trying to, express their issues, their own how it is for them, while you know that they argued that the penalty that came was not something that should have come, even though Brahim Diaz had to miss the game. He had to miss the goal. Of course, he tried a Panenka, but we're gonna see the real Panenka, as Real Madrid had to trash Real Oviedo yesterday in their game, and Mbappe had to score the 2 goals. I'm moving on to giving you the scores, because we're talking about Panenka now, so I have to link the stories together. This guy called Mbappe, he is one of the best guys who does this. And as I'm talking to you right now, he said that this goal yesterday that he scored was a dedication to Brahim Diaz's teammate, to his teammates who could not complete his Panenka. Well, I think there's something we call Panenka when we are growing up. So this guy did the Panenka, then this one did Panenka, and Mbappe had to score that goal yesterday, and he had to finish, and he had to make a greater game yesterday. Well, we're still talking about football, and now we are going back to AFCON, and now it is we're talking about the other gender, that is the female football, the women's football. It is said that the group stage for the women's AFCON game, like I told you, has been set, and we're expecting the game to kick off as soon as possible, because there have been like I told you, there have been upgrades on the incentives and the prize award to be that CAF has said that they will be given to the women, and this is something that we have been looking forward to having, and this is something that we are looking forward to seeing in 2026. Well, they have listed it, and one beautiful thing about this, it is going to take place in Morocco. I think that's one thing I have seen CAF do that I can applaud to them, because why are you going to another place to play women's AFCON? When we have Morocco, just do this, bro. Do this in Morocco. Just go to Morocco. Let's play the football in Morocco. And well, there are many things we can say that comes around this, but we know that Nigeria has found themselves in one of the best groups. I would say they have found themselves. It's of course difficult, but they have found themselves in Group C, and Group C comprises of Egypt, Malawi, and Nigeria. Egypt, Malawi, and Nigeria. And we're also still talking about the Group D is Cameroon, Mali, Ghana, and Cape Verde. We are still talking about the group. We are talking about Group A, Morocco, made of Morocco, Algeria, Senegal, Kenya. Now, Group B is made up of South Africa, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Tanzania. So basically, we can really see how it is because these guys are trying their best to ensure that the women are actually they have their game sorted. Of course, you know that Total Energy is the official sponsor of CAF, AFCON, and the other. Continental football that we've been having so far, and that is what it is. That is what it is. Now I am going to move on to the commentaries around football and the things people have said concerning the game of Arsenal Manchester United. But well, before I give you the scores, I want to tell you that Seedorf has come out to say that Manchester United, that he is expecting that Manchester United head coach would be someone who will understand the team, who will understand what it means to play football, and who will understand how it is to, organize the game. He said that Kobe Meno, who Ruben Amorim had dropped earlier, or should always start the game. And you've seen it that Kobe Mino started against Manchester City last weekend, and just yesterday, Kobe Mino had to start. You know, this guy was dropped, and the potentials and everything. And well, this is my own personal reserve, and I'm gonna say it that some of these players, especially, I'm just gonna call his name Kobe Mino, that period that Bruno Fernandes went on had an injury, and he himself, I'm sure that there could be some rumors that he would not play, and he decided to just have an just kind of go a little, have a little break, something like that. But I'm telling you right now that Kobe Mino is back to the team. Like I told you before, we don't know what the mom went to do on 31st night when everyone will be praying for whatever they want to have, crossing over to the next year. The mom would have been praying seriously for the young boy to feature in the future. Well, get that feature in the future. And I'm gonna tell you that yesterday's match, moving on to the Premier League, that yesterday's match was amazing. I'm not talking as a fan of any team, but I'm telling you that if you watched football, you would have seen how it was in the game of yesterday, how Manchester United had to trash Arsenal. And now I can use the word trash because as the match was going on, it was not trash. Thanks to Fabrizio Romano for that graphics. And I'm telling you that Manchester United yesterday had a dramatic win against Arsenal. Well, there has been a lot of dragging for the team, especially Arsenal. A lot of people were expecting Arsenal to win at home. A lot of people were expecting drama. A lot of people were expecting goals too coming as the ought to. Well, yesterday proved the king of England, and not the king of England because we also had the queen of England too. The queen of England football. That's Arsenal. Arsenal, they are the queen of England football. Well. I can tell you, if you had seen that game, you would see that it was all about tactics. Carrick was spot on. Carrick got it this time, and Carrick delivered a masterpiece, something that we may not have seen in Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim had to cage Bruno Fernandes to play DMF. That actually made the team to dull, and I think that there are many times why choosing why having a selection of coach of who to carry your team along and who to take your team along. I think it is very necessary to make some selections from the midfield, like if you want to, like Michael Carrick. He was a midfielder. He played as a midfielder in Manchester United, and he played his game very well. He was one of the best in the game. And I'm telling you right now that Michael Carrick had to, make the changes. The sub, last weekend sub was on point. He removed Mbumo, the goal scorer, and brought in Kunha. Yesterday, the same thing happened. And anytime he makes a sub, one of the subs he will make would score. That's to tell you that this guy is on point. He's not the point and kill, but he actually is pointing to kill the opponent, like we saw yesterday in the Arsenal game. And we saw this also when Manchester City played when Manchester United faced Manchester City, you saw this too. That immediately he subbed, brought in Mount and brought in the other guys. What happened was very sensational. Mount how to score, even though that game was ruled offside. Yesterday, I'm going to talk about beyond this a little more because I'm talking about people that has made a mark. We're talking about when tables turn. There's this guy who said that his coat will be cut according to his size. I think Manchester United now they are wearing the coat according to their size, and they are planning to sue a bogus one too, because you are going to see the Manchester United, who was 12th, 18th, just as the season started, they are now contending for the Premier League. And Arsenal, on the same hand, has not recovered from that match yesterday, even though they have been, trying their best. Even though we are looking at Arsenal as people who could do or have a good game, or this is their time to actually win this league. This is their time to actually make this mark. If not, see, like I said, I won't. I may not say it as I would say it elsewhere, but I'm telling you that Arsenal had to push themselves, not just having the points, because the people at their back are very scary. Manchester City, Aston Villa. You may say Aston Villa is not scary. Unai Emery is not having a good laugh because he is going for the best, and he's in Europa League, so he's going for the best and the best. Well, still talking about Arsenal, a lot of rumors are said that Arsenal could bottle the league like they always have been doing, and that is something we've seen over the years, always finishing second. Without finishing first. You know what this means? This means that if they don't have a touch on this trophy, their grandchildren will now have to tell the story, because Arsenal, we are looking at them to do something. A lot of people are fanning these guys. A lot of people are looking at them as the people who can win this trophy now. But we're going to see what happens at the end of the day, because there's no one that can be played. There's no one that can be used the way it should not go. Well, talking about Arsenal, the team, they are complete. They play a good game. But yesterday, their performance was kind of poor compared to Manchester United. And a lot of attributes have been said that it could be because of the Carrick effect. Well, Carrick is a school. You guys have to come and learn his gameology, said my friend, because this guy has something spectacular. And he knows he is Premier League proven, not just as a player, but right now as a coach. And we're expecting Carrick to have a 10-game unbeaten run where he will deliver a masterclass and probably, possibly lead Manchester United to the top of the league. I know all of you are saying, really? Well, yes, it's possible, because we are living under the sun and everything is possible. And Arsenal could be second. Well, that is what happens every time that you do things when you should not do it. Now, I want to show you that yesterday, on Saturday, Chelsea had to win their game also. I'm bringing you this because I know a lot of you out there are Chelsea fans. Chelsea won their game. Liverpool also lost their game away against Bournemouth. Well, let's talk about Chelsea right now. You see that Chelsea won their game. Estavio scored at the 34th minute, while João Pedro with a shot, he shot the... Oh, sometimes talents hide, but you cannot hide talents for a while. João Pedro, we have seen him flop, flop, flop in matches, but that match was very spectacular for him, and he must have been proud of himself. Not just his braids. He must also be proud of himself. Now I wanted to sub this guy who is called Gyökeres. Gyökeres yesterday flipped his hair more than he flipped the ball. That is okay, and that is what happens. But looking at João Pedro delivered a masterclass. And that is what we are expecting. Now, still talking about football, Liverpool on Saturday had to lose against Bournemouth, the Cherries. Even though Semenyo has gone to Manchester City has been keen. They are keen to also make sure that they don't lose anything. Well, you will see the guys who won the game for them. Evan Nielsen scored, Jimenez scored, and Auli scored. Van Dijk had to had to register a goal after many years of many years of dancing in the in the defense, he had to yesterday score. And Suzobolai, this guy has been saving. We should not call this guy the Suzobolai. We should call him the savior because he has been saving Liverpool. And Manchester City, on the same hand, won on Saturday. Sorry, and they won 2-0. You know the guys who scored. This match is very special. Thanks to Fabrizio Romano for that graphics. These guys are special because this Omar Mamush came back from Egypt. He came back from AFCON. And he had to score that on Saturday. Same with Antonio Semenyo. Well, Semenyo is the new sensation because if you ask me any question, I can tell you that this guy was not and would not be a bad signing to Manchester City. Now, I also want to tell you that Maguehi, who went from Crystal Palace to Manchester City, made his debut where he had a clean sheet. You know, for the strikers and for the guys playing, what makes you a good striker is how many goals and how many tallies you've actually scored. But for the defense, what makes you the best in the defense is actually how many clean sheets you've actually have. And that is what makes it up in the world of football. And that is what makes it in the world of sports. What do you actually now? I want to, as I round up, and I want to ask you guys this question: what do you think about the upcoming games that are coming in the Nigerian Professional Football League and other leagues too? Now, I also want to ask you, what do you think about the case of Arsenal? Because that's the most debated topic right now. That's the most trending topic right now. Arsenal bottling the league, and this is something that I want to let you know about. Now, still on the same line, I was talking about people who won yesterday. I'm not talking about losers. I'm talking about people who won. We have that Real Madrid won yesterday, like I've told you, and Barcelona too won yesterday. Yes, Barcelona won their game yesterday. I didn't know about this, but I'm gonna tell you that this guy called Lamine Yamal is special. Forget about his special effect on his hair. I don't know. Players really have this special effect of their hair and the way they position themselves. But Lamine Yamal is very special. Leave the dance like Lamine Yamal by skills. Let's talk about this guy. Yesterday, he had a wonderful game. I'm talking about the same guy who would make a mark in the Barcelona team. I'm talking about Rafinha. Rafinha too had something that he delivered yesterday, and this is a masterclass. Still on that, I'm gonna bring you that Bayern Munich lost their game first home game. They are losing after a long run, even though they are still contending for the league. And they are not just contending, they are the champions of the league. You can see Harry Kane and our own guy who went from Crystal Palace to Bayern Munich. And I'm telling you that it is something that we are all expecting in the world of sports and in the world of football. Well, this is where I call it a day in the commentaries and what is happening all around the sports world. I'm telling you right now that it is your one and only Sports Oracle. I will bring you the predictions tomorrow on what is going to happen in the Champions League and how it's going to be before we move on to that. Thank you very much for hanging on. I wish you the best of the day. Thank you very much for tuning in to Aneke Sports. Have a good day. Bye.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
ị na-agba akwụkwọ bịawa na Aneke telivishọn bịa ka ezuoru gị ozi ọma bịawa na Aneke telivishọn idume na-emere ogbenye mere amadi ihe ume Igbo bịawo na nke a bụ nke anyị ị mara ebe oge ọrụ etiwo mọnwụ ntakịtụkwa mọnwụ si nne ya mere ha
Ndibo. This is a call to unity and thanksgiving. A historic day has been set. A day for one people, one voice, and one heart lifted in gratitude. For the first time in our history, Igbo archbishops and bishops, in one spirit, with Ohaneze and Igbo, have set aside the last Saturday of January as the Igbo World Day of Adoration and Thanksgiving. On January 31st, 2026, from 9 a.m. to noon, the Igbo people at home and across the nations will stand as one. One language, one faith, one voice of gratitude. In churches everywhere, worship will rise in the Igbo tongue, echoing a story the world cannot forget. A people who walked through war, loss, and long years of marginalization, yet refused to be broken. This is not just a service. It is remembrance. It is survival. It is thanksgiving for a people who endured and endured with faith. Anglican, Catholic, Methodist, Presbyterian, Pentecostal leaders, together with CAN, Southeast Zone, invite every Igbo heart, young and old, near and far, to join this sacred hour. Prepare your spirit. Lift your voice. Give thanks to God for the Igbo journey, a journey of courage, faith, and triumph. January 31st, 2026, the Igbo world rises as one.
Technology surrounds us every day, from our phones to smart homes, but has it really made life easier or just more complicated? Today, we hit the streets to find out what everyday people think.
It has done more good than harm. Because why? The harm aspect of it can be curtailed. It can be curtailed. It can be checkmated. If you put the necessary, just like some parents complain about their children, what they do using phone. If you don't give them phone, and if you restrict them from using phone, you can checkmate them. Even if you put DSTV in their rooms and you do parental the parental control, you can restrict it. So those bad side effects of it can be restricted. But we have to move. That technology is a movement, and you can't stop it. Development continues to come. People continue to come up every day with a new way of doing things, a new way of reducing the long time it takes for things to take place, and a new way of making it, more very convenient and at ease.
Technology has made life easy because a lot of things. What can you even mention? Can you mention car? Can you mention cell phone? Numerous. Technology has done a lot for us because of the negativity that is being attached. For instance, using phone to lie. Hey, hello, please, where are you? I'm in Lagos. While the person is at Holy Ghost here. Please, I have to start coming. Yes, I'm at Agbani Road. While the person is at home. So again, they use it to do a lot of evil. They use it to lure you and kill people. They use it to snatch a lot of things. Still.
A trusted window to the major developments across Nigeria and the global community. I'm Deborah Wakba. Glad to have you join us. And now to the headlines. President Tinubu departs for strategic state visit to Turkey. JAMB meets Education Commissioners, seeks smooth registration and conduct of 2026 UTME. And on the foreign scene, 50 fear dead as migrant boat capsizes off Tunisia. And entertainment turned to DK and Olakule Churchill announced surprise reconciliation. And now to the news in details. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has departed Abuja for a state visit to the Republic of Turkey aimed at strengthening diplomatic and economic relations between both countries. The visit follows growing in recent years and is expected to deepen cooperation in security, trade, innovation, and finance. During the visit, both countries are scheduled to hold high-level bilateral talks and sign several memoranda of understanding. The agreements are expected to cover defense cooperation, scientific and technological research, energy development, and broader technical partnership. The president is accompanied by senior government officials, including the National Security Advisor, the Minister of Defense, and other key cabinet members. A major component of the visit is the Nigerian-Turkey Business Forum designed to connect investors from both nations. Discussions will focus on expanding trade and attracting investment in sectors such as aviation, communications, and infrastructure. President Tinubu is expected back in Nigeria at the conclusion of the engagement in Ankara. The United States military is stepping up the delivery of material and intelligence, sharing them with Nigeria as part of expanded cooperation to combat Islamic State-linked militants on the continent. Deputy Commander of the United States Africa Command, Lieutenant General John Brennan, announced this in an interview with AP Nigeria's security meeting held in Abuja. He said the renewed effort reflects a broader American strategy to strengthen partnership with the African militaries in confronting extremist threats. According to him, the Pentagon has also sustained communication with the armed forces of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, despite the countries being under military rule. The enhanced collaboration with Nigeria comes amid sustained diplomatic engagement by Washington over the security situation in the country, particularly the activities of jihadist group. Lieutenant General Brennan noted that the U.S. military has become more aggressive in targeting Islamic State-linked elements across Africa. He added that under the current U.S. administration, efforts have intensified to work closely with regional partners to conduct kinetic operations against identified threats, especially those linked to ISIS. The inaugural meeting of the U.S.-Nigeria Joint Working Group took place about a month after the United States announced airstrikes on Islamic State associated targets in parts of northern West Nigeria on Christmas Day. The voluntary repatriation of Nigerian refugees from Cameroon has commenced under a tripartite agreement involving Nigeria, Cameroon, and the United Nations. Refugee agencies. The return marks the end of years of displacement for families who fled insurgent violence in the northeast. The exercise is being coordinated by the federal government and the Borno state government to ensure safe, orderly, and dignified returns. Senator Ali Ndume commended President Bola Tinubu and Governor Babagana Zulum for revitalizing the 2017 agreement that provides a framework for the repatriation and reintegration of displaced persons. Returnees are being resettled in constructed communities, including Wala and surrounding areas. Authorities say key infrastructure is being restored to support the process, including the reconnection of electricity to Gwoza after years of disruption. Efforts are also focused on improving security and reviving local economic activities. River State Governor Similai Fubara has reassured residents that his administration remains focused and hopefully despite political challenge. Represented by his deputy at the RCCG Holy Ghost rally in Port Harcourt, the governor said the state's progress is anchored on faith and resilience. He told the large gathering that while human efforts may have limits, confidence in divine guidance provides strength to overcome difficulties. The governor also expressed appreciation to the religious community for continued prayers and support for peace and stability in River State. General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Aneke Adeboye, delivered a message on restoration and divine intervention. He urged worshippers to trust in God's power to address situations beyond human control, reinforcing the spiritual tone of the event. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has advised people with asthma and other respiratory conditions to take precautions due to dust particles currently in suspension in the atmosphere. The agency also urged motorists to exercise caution while driving during rainfall and called on airline operators to obtain airport-specific weather reports for flight planning. NIMET forecast hazy and sunny conditions across much of the country from Monday to Wednesday. The north central region is expected to experience persistent haziness, while the southern region will see sunny skies with patches of clouds and chances of afternoon or evening thunderstorms. Moderate dust haze is expected over parts of the northern region on Tuesday, with thicker dust condition anticipated on Wednesday. Light rains are predicted in parts of Ogun, Lagos, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Cross River, and Akwa Ibom at different periods during the forecast. More than 50 young farmers in Enugu State have received training on the use of social media to market and sell agricultural produce. The program was organized by the International Fund for Agricultural Development in partnership with the federal government under the Value Chain Development Program. Participants were drawn from Amriri Enugu East, Isuso, Nkano East, and Udenu local government areas. Facilitators train them on setting up business accounts, creating engaging content, and using digital tools to reach customers and increase sales. The session covered platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Participants also took part in practical exercises, creating business pages and promotional materials, with organizers urging them to apply the skills to improve their incomes and expand their market reach. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has called on education commissioners in all states to intensify efforts to prevent examination malpractice ahead of the 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The appeal was made during a strategic meeting in Lagos. JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede urged states to carefully scrutinize agreements with computer-based test center operators to avoid irregularities. He also stressed that candidates must disclose any previous registration or admission history with the board, warning that false declaration constitutes an offense. The registrar reiterated that 18 years remains the minimum age for university admission, while candidates under 16 years by September 30, 2026 will undergo a special evaluation process. Their results will only be released after the full assessment is completed. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to reviewing the consolidated health salary structure as part of efforts to resolve the disputes with the joint health sector unions. The position was outlined in a statement by the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. The ministry described as misleading claims that it had refused to implement the report of the Technical Committee on Congress Adjustment submitted in 2021. It stated that several conciliatory meetings have been held with Johesu since the start of the industrial action. According to the ministry, engagements have taken place in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment to find an amicable resolution. The clarification follows statements issued by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress concerning the dispute. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency recorded multiple drug seizures and arrests across several states, including the FCT, Borno, Kwara, Ekiti, Edo, Kano, Oyo, Benue, Lagos, and Ondo. The operations targeted the supply of illicit substances across different parts of the country. Among the seizures were large quantities of tramadol, diazepam, skunk, cannabis, seeds, codeine, syrup, and other psychotropic substances. Arrests were made following interceptions along highways, raids on suspected hideouts, and follow-up intelligence operation. NDLEA Chairman retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa commended officers involved in the operations for their professionalism. He urged continued vigilance and sustained efforts to reduce both the supply of and demand for illicit drugs nationwide. News around the globe is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us on social media platforms Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now, here's a quick recap of the major stories making the news. President Tinubu has departed for a strategic state visit to Turkey. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has met with education commissioners to ensure hitch-free registration and conduct of the 2026 UTME. And coming up shortly, on the foreign scene, 50 people are feared dead after a migrant boat capsized off the coast of Tunisia. And in entertainment, Tonto Dike and Olakunle Churchill have announced a surprise reconciliation. We'll be right back.
Aneke televishọn heu agịrịgbọm dị egwu nkwa azụghị n'ahịa mgbochi okwukwu kakwa ogwugwu mma heu mba ụwa bịa na ihe ebube eme mgbagbu ụwa gbatawa na ihe ebube emewa Aneke televishọn na-emerụ ogbenye mere amadi ihe ị na-agba nkwụ ị na-eme nkepụta nwa ị na-akwa ozu ị na-agba akwụkwọ bịawa na Aneke televishọn bịa ka ezuoru gị ozi ọma bịawa na Aneke televishọn idume heu na-emere ogbenye mere amadi ihe ume Igbo bịawo na nke a bụ nke anyị ịmara ebe oge anọ etiwe mmanwụ ntakịrị tụkwamọgwụ si nne ya mere ha ji wee weta Aneke televishọn ọ bụ onye mgbagburu ahụ nna ọ dị na soshal midia ọ dị na mgbagbu ọ dị n'Enugu site ọ dị na
On the news, Indonesian rescue teams have resumed the search for about 80 people still missing after a deadly landslide struck Langu village in West Java. The disaster, triggered by prolonged heavy rainfall, has claimed at least 10 lives after mud and debris swept through residential areas. Rescue efforts are being slowed by unstable ground and continuing downpours, preventing the use of heavy machinery. Authorities say extreme rainfall is expected to continue for another week, increasing the risk of further landslide. Thousands of residents across parts of West Java and Jakarta have fled to safer areas. The tragedy comes just weeks after severe floods and landslides in Sumatra killed over 1,000 people, keeping Indonesia on high disaster alert. Myanmar's military leader Min Aung Hlaing has rejected international criticism of the country's recent general election, insisting the outcome reflects the will of the people. The vote took place with major opposition parties banned and former leader Aung San Suu Kyi still detained. The military-backed Union, Solidarity and Development Party secured a commanding parliamentary majority though turnout was reportedly low. Residents described the climate of fear, with allegations of voter coercion and widespread boycotts in urban areas. Western governments and ASEAN have declined to recognize the election's legitimacy. Analysts say the vote is aimed at cementing military rule on the civilian structures as conflict and airstrikes continue in several parts of the country. 50 migrants are feared dead after a boat capsized off the coast of Tunisia, with only one survivor rescued from the Mediterranean Sea. The man was found after spending nearly 24 hours adrift and was taken to Malta for treatment. The vessel is believed to have departed from Tunisia, a major departure point for migrants attempting to reach Europe. The rescue followed an alert from the emergency hotline group Alarm Phone. Authorities say search efforts are challenging due to delayed distress reports and the vast search area. The Mediterranean remains one of the world's deadliest migration routes. Uganda opposition figure Bobby Wine says his wife Barbara Kyagulanyi is hospitalized after security forces allegedly raided her home. Mr. Wine, who is in hiding, claimed soldiers assaulted staff and demanded information about his whereabouts. The incident follows tensions after the January presidential election, which President Yoweri Museveni won with more than 70% of the vote. Wine and his supporters allege widespread electoral fraud. Human rights groups and the United Nations have expressed concern over increasing reports of arrest and violence against opposition members. Security operations have intensified in Kampala and other areas. Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has appointed his younger brother Ten Brahimi as Vice Prime Minister while he retains his role as Defense Minister. The move strengthens the president's inner cycle within the government. Most senior ministers kept their positions, signaling policy continuity following Ouattara's re-election and legislative victories. The administration says the reshuffle is aimed at improving coordination and governance. Ivory Coast, the world's largest cocoa producer, is seeking to sustain stronger economic growth. Analysts say the changes reflect a stability-focused approach as the country navigates regional and global economic pressures. And now to business news. Shell plc has announced plans to invest up to $20 billion in Nigeria's energy sector, citing improved stability and reforms. CEO Wale Sawan made the disclosure during a visit to the presidential villa. The investment will focus largely on the Bonga Southwest deep offshore project alongside gas and infrastructure developments. Shell says the decision reflects renewed confidence in Nigeria's long-term investment climate. President Bola Tinubu welcomed the move and approved targeted incentives tied to production and local content. The administration expects a final investment decision before the end of the current presidential term. Industry leaders warn that a shortage of skilled workers could slow growth in Nigeria's digital economy, currently valued at about $11 billion annually. The gap threatens plans to raise the sector's GDP contribution to 21% by 2027. Communications Minister Bosu Tijani says ICT contribution to GDP has risen from around 16% to nearly 19%. However, experts say the talent pipeline is not keeping pace with expansion. Rapid growth is digital payments, telecoms, and tech platforms is increasing demand for skilled professionals. Analysts stress the need for urgent investment in training, cybersecurity, and digital education. The Nigerian naira opened the week stronger against major foreign currency in the official market. The pound sterling traded around 1,924 naira, down from earlier higher levels. In the dollar market, the naira strengthened to about 1,413 per dollar in the official window. Improved liquidity and central bank interventions are credited for the gain. Parallel market rates remains relatively stable, with the dollar trading between 1,407 have announced a surprise reconciliation, drawing widespread reaction from fans and the public. And that's news around the globe on Aneke TV. For more news and live updates, follow us across all social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. I am Deborah Wakoba. Thank you for watching.